I grew up next door to a storyteller. When I was 4 or 5 years old, I would follow him around as he was mowing his grass with my little plastic lawnmower. And when he was done, he would say, "Well, I think it's about time for a story, don't you, Mark?" And I'd say, "Well, yeah." And we go sit out underneath the elm tree, and his wife would come out and bring peanut butter and crackers and lemonade in the summer, and we would sit around and listen to him tell us stories. And I learned very early that storytelling was fun, that it was interesting, and that every story was a winner and every story was a loser. It really came down to how well you could tell the story. And I just became enamored with stories, so that's kind of drew me to the newspaper. My parents always talked about current events at the dinner table, the breakfast table. I would race my father out the door down the driveway to get the morning paper, and then we'd come back in. And when I was reading the newspaper, I wasn't in Evansville, Indiana. I was in Paris or Berlin or Cairo or someplace, and I thought how exotic and how exciting it was. So it was a combination of those things that really, I think, drew me toward that career. For me, it was more of a feeling of importance, that I was making a difference in society, and that I had some kind of a voice that I could participate in society. Every story I think I did, I looked at as something that was important for the community. Even if I was doing a weather story or something, I was adding something to the society in which I live. That sounds cheesy, but that's how I felt about it. I had 3 editors starting out. One was Janice Perkins. She was my first editor at the Evansville Courier, and she was as hard as nails, harder than any professor I had. She would give me a story, and then while I was working on that one, give me 2 more stories, and then edit my story and throw it back at me, and it was all red. Then I have to fix that while doing 2 more stories. So it taught me speed, accuracy, how to deal with people, and how to how to do a good job. Then when I went to Florida, there were a couple of editors. Don Wilson was my first editor down there, and he gave me a lot of leeway to try new things and innovate and try my hand at different times of writing. And then Bill Dunn, who was my editor when I was promoted to Orlando and the Metro staff, and worked with him on some very large stories that he helped guide me through. So when I came to UCO, I think UCO I would stack this school up against any other. The benefit of this school is that we don't just have the academic degrees, we also have the professional experience. And that's, so the people I've worked with here, Denny Hall, Terry Clark, Woody Gaddis, Ray Tass, and a bunch of people from the past as well as the present have been important to me and important to my career, and it made it enjoyable. I have people say, "Well, why don't you, I've been offered jobs elsewhere," and they say, "Why don't you go?" And I say, my father used to say, "If it ain't broke, why fix it?" And I enjoy being here. I enjoy the people. So I would like to thank them as well, because they've encouraged me and they've made my career what it is.